It's an exciting day. I love when basketball starts because I love to watch Coach Fisher's team play, and Coach Terry's team is on the upswing, and it's fun when they start playing because you get to have a fan interest in how they do. And obviously we all kind of pull for each other, and it's fun to watch them get started. We have another game this week that hopefully we'll prepare for and have the right attitude going into it so that we can keep this thing moving along. It's a tough place to play. We've had a couple in the last 3 years. We've had a couple overtime games with them, and all the games have been fairly close. So we expect a very competitive football game in a tough environment.
The last time we went up there, Coach, I personally froze on the sidelines, and I know I'm not one of your players, but I was with a lot of your players, and I thought that they were cold. And they were hungry. They were like beating each other up to get in front of that heater thing, especially in the fourth quarter, and I know that game slipped away in the fourth quarter. You don't like to talk about those elements normally, but is that something that you really do have to prepare for playing in this stadium, especially a late night game like this?
Well, the late night games are what happens in our league, but like you're saying, as the season goes along, the games obviously get colder at night. We don't talk about it. We try not to think about it. All you're doing is trying to put question marks in your mind. Both teams have to play in the same weather. You know, it cracks me up all the time. You go to places and they say, well, they're used to it. They're not used to it. They practice in the afternoons. They don't practice at night. And a lot of them have indoor practice fields, so they practice inside. They don't practice outside. So they have the exact same problems that we do. I mean, if it gets cold, they get cold just like we do. So it doesn't make a darn bit of difference.
Is there elevation an issue at all, or is it got
That doesn't make a darn bit of difference either. We're not playing. I think it probably does in some sports. It probably does in track if you're a long-distance runner. It probably does in basketball because you're up and down. Have you noticed in a football game how many timeouts you get now? I mean, we probably had 45 minutes of commercials in our game last week. I mean, you kick off the ball, you run down on the kickoff, and you're breathing hard, and you have to play defense. Oh, there's another commercial, so you get a 3-minute break before you have to play. I mean, at one time when that was a problem, that's not a problem anymore, and this game's on TV, so it won't be a problem this week. If we ever play at altitude where they don't have commercials and all that, it might get to be an issue, but that's not the case anymore.
Coach, I expect it to be kind of full strength in terms of like the beat up guys, injuries, like Christian Chapman, he was kind of beat up. Is he doing all right? Any updates with that?
Everybody that played last week should be able to play this week. They're all beat up, but I'm sure Nevada's beat up too. This time of year, anybody that's playing extended reps, they all have bumps, bruises, strains, pulls, but both teams have those too. When you have a skilled player that is of importance like a quarterback, people tend to talk about it more and worry about it more. The guys that are really beat up are the guys at the line of scrimmage. The offensive linemen and defensive linemen, those are the guys that are really beat up.
In regards to that, obviously, you had a lot of people play that hadn't played hardly ever. What'd you make of those guys when you went back and looked at the film?
That we have some very good athletes coming up in this program. We have some quality, potentially very good players coming up through the program. But like everybody, they need experience. And while they were out there, there was a lot of mistakes being made. But they were doing them full speed, and them getting to play helps our program because you get some of that newness out of their system, and next time they're out there, they'll be better, and the next time they'll be better than that. So athletically, we've got some really good guys coming up, so that experience really helps the development of our program so there's no drop-offs when the real good seniors leave.
How do you decide at what point a game's in hand and to send those guys home?
It's kind of by feel when you think there's no way they can beat you. You know, I mean, even if, like we put the whole fourth quarter was all new guys on defense. Most of them haven't played very much. So I figured the most points they could score in one quarter was 3 touchdowns, so we were still going to win, so we put them all in.
Along the same lines, you have kind of an interesting situation with DJ, obviously. I mean, he's getting national attention, but you don't want to give him the ball too much in a blowout type of game. Hopefully you'll face this situation some more this year, but what's your thinking in terms of getting him his yards as opposed to making sure that you don't put him in a situation where he gets hurt in a game that you're way ahead in?
We don't worry about getting him his yards. We worry about getting him the number of touches that he needs to get for us to win. So for us to continue to win, he has to get the ball a lot. Either by handing it to him or throwing it to him, he has to get the ball in his hands a lot for our team to have success and to win. So he'll get plenty of touches. He'll get enough touches over the next 5 weeks that he has a chance to break an all-time record. Now, obviously, he has to play well, and the guys in front of him have to block well to give him that opportunity, but it's not a lack of times he's going to have the ball, because he has to have the ball a lot for us to win. We don't keep track of his yards, by the way. I've been asked that question, too. There's nobody up in our press box keeping track of the number of yards he's gaining.
Rocky, do you have to spend extra time in practice each week practicing hurry-up situations, come-from-behind situations? I mean, especially just given the way you guys are winning in the Mountain West. I mean, you really haven't been presented with that type of scenario yet.
Well, experience is a wonderful thing. We practiced hurry-up stuff every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it's the ones against the ones and the twos against the twos. We do that every week. Just like every week on Thursday, we practice a Hail Mary pass and we practice the Hail Mary defense. And I've been doing that ever since they completed a Hail Mary pass to beat us one time. Because you do all that stuff in fall camp, and then all of a sudden the situation arises during a regular season game 6 weeks or 7 weeks down the line, and even though you've taught it to them, they don't know how to perform it. So we do some hurry-up stuff every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in practice. It's only for 5 minutes, but we do something every week.
Is Quest Truxton the kind of kid that maybe all of us can kind of get behind? I mean, a guy that really wasn't on the radar and has come in and taken over your punt returner job and had a fabulous game really the other night. And now is starting to get some quality time at wide receiver. Is he a great example of what can happen to any kid in a program if they put the work in and develop?
I think that it happens in programs where they're given chances. There are programs in this country that if you're not a 4 or 5 star recruit, you don't get a chance in the game. Obviously, we're not in that situation because I think we've only recruited 2 or 3 4-star recruits in the last 6 or 7 years. So everybody in our program, whether they're scholarship or not, gets an opportunity to prove to us that they can either play and contribute or they can't play. We took him because of what we saw on film, where he was a pretty good wide receiver and he did a good job of returning punts. And he's turned out, now he had a little learning curve there where he struggled early on, but he's turned out to be a really good player and he's getting better as he goes. So that's a benefit to all of us in the program. It's a benefit, but a lot of the guys on our team that are really, really good players, we took that nobody else wanted. So that's the kind of kids we get. They have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they work hard at it, and they're team guys, and they're fun to be around.
Coach, to go back on the, getting the younger players in, even before you guys put in the second team, third team offense and whatnot, it looked like at right guard, Dixon and Rosales kind of switched. Was Rosales hurt at all, or did you just feel like Dixon should get some reps there?
Rosales has a slight injury that he can play with. So if he doesn't have to play every snap, it gets better quicker. He'll get well quicker. So we were trying to limit the number of reps so he could get through the game. And then when the score got out of hand, obviously he didn't have to play very much. So it was good. He'll be much better this week.
Is that one of the spots where you feel comfortable with? Because him and Dixon were kind of battling it out during fall camp.
Well, I don't know if we feel comfortable because he's the starter. There's a reason he's the starter. And he's always in there when the game is in question. So we'd be okay with him being replaced, but we don't want him replaced.